Hello and welcome to Telling the Tale. I'm your host, Mitchell Farley Wolf, and I'm here as per usual with my co-host, Dustin Jackson. Hey, Dustin, what did we play this week?
You know what we played this week, Mitch?
Wait, I'm so sorry. Dustin.
Yeah.
There's been a murder!
Oh no!
There's a body right here in our recording studio, right?
There it is.
Sort of right at my feet.
There it is. I didn't see it when we walked in.
What do we do?
You know what I think we should do? I think we should talk about the Telltale game, CSI 3 Degrees of Murder.
Okay, we'll do that.
And let's hope someone takes care of this while we're doing it.
Yeah, while we're doing that, I have this machine that's testing all the various semens that are all over bodies.
That's all we really need. We've got this case in the bag.
Yeah, if we can just get a DNA sample-only on those little semen spots, the spatter, as it's called.
Get a DNA sample-only with new Kraft cheesy macaroni.
Wouldn't it be fun if that was the vibe of this video game?
There's a big orange dinosaur walking around.
Yeah, but everything else was just completely like photorealistic style.
Would you play as him, or would he just be kind of walking around everywhere you go?
No, Dustin, he's the dead body.
Oh no!
Yeah, someone killed the Kraft dinosaur.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
You know what? I'm not a big macaroni and cheese fan, but I wouldn't kill him. That's what I would say if I was brought in for questions.
So let's talk about this Telltale video game.
Okay.
It's a bit different than all of the ones that we've done so far.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, excepting Telltale Texas Hold'em, it is the most different compared to everything else we've done so far.
Right, and this came out before a lot of the other stuff, right? Was it before or after Sam & Max Season 1?
This came out on PC. Thank you for that lovely introduction to my stats section. This came out on PC, developed by Telltale Games, published not by them, very rare for Telltale, published by Ubisoft on March 14th, 2006, which is before the beginning of Sam & Max Season 1. And I believe it is in between the two Bone games, even.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting that they would just get all 5 of these in between 2 episodes of another game.
Well, I think there were like 7 months between the two Bone episodes, right?
That sounds right. It's been a long time, but you know, even then, that's a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, well, not a long time for that, but it's not that long a time to make a whole 5 episodes of a CSI game. So I wonder if they were like made in conjunction with another or what. But
yeah, I will say
at the same time, it's not like these games are very complicated.
I will say that
ones.
the episodes of a CSI game are not episodes; they are cases, which are basically just chapters of one larger game. The CSI games, all 4 of them, and we're only talking about the first one, CSI 3 Dimensions of Murder, today, were released as retail products that were sort of in the structure of normal Telltale seasons with 5 cases in each one, but they were never released episodically. They were only just released as their own thing. And you can tell playing through this game, at least, I don't know how the future CSI games, maybe they get a little more adventurous with their structure, but in this game, each case is not particularly large. There's a lot of dialogue and going back and forth between the same couple areas a lot of times, but compare it to anything, let's say in Season 1 of Sam & Max. In Season 1 of Sam & Max, there's a lot more character models, there's a lot more environments to model. The story's probably a little bit longer if you don't get stuck in CSI for like an hour working on one problem like we sometimes did.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what it's like not dealing with that.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that for a mythical person that just gets it right within the first couple times of trying for everything in the game, these cases are not particularly long.
Right. And one thing to add to your point, you don't even have a character model for you, for the player you're controlling in this? It's all first person.
Well, interesting that you'd bring that up, because we were not able to play the PC version of this game.
That's right.
But Dustin, I've done a little sneaky thing I didn't tell you about.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of a sneaky thing I didn't tell you about, and I searched on YouTube, as I'm about to do right now, CSI 3 Dimensions of Murder. And I'm going to show you. I'm not going to show you. I decided that's dumb to do. But this game is, as our friend Adam, who helped us out with streaming this game, would tell you, this is a very, very different looking game on PC and PlayStation 2.
Is it better?
On
PC?
Yes.
Cool.
So graphically it's better, because the PlayStation 2 was the least powerful console of its generation, and PC is just always like ahead in that way. And also interface-wise, it's better, because Telltale made the PC game, it's still first person, but you're looking around your environments and you're just clicking around like a point-and-click adventure game, where the first person like manipulation of the environment in the PlayStation 2 game is kind of dreadful.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. I got used to it after like the first case, but boy, that first one was a whole kettle of fish.
Yeah, and I'm not a person that doesn't like first-person games or anything. I think just the way this works is you're still playing it like a point-and-click adventure game, where you basically just have to go around the environment, click on objects, and use them with other objects. But you need to like zero in on it and get really close with what is basically your face in order to click on something in this game, which is it's just rough. I would recommend, if anyone is able to play either version of these games, which is, I understand, kind of hard to do. This is an example of why the closing of Telltale has made... Well, actually, you know what? This isn't even a part of that. This game is just hard to get. It still would be hard to get if Telltale never closed down. This game was published by Ubisoft, and Ubisoft just didn't want to keep going with the publishing of this game. They were like, yeah,
I wonder why.
It's fine.
We have nothing to lose from not releasing this anymore.
Yeah, but in 2006, CSI was a pretty big show on television. And did you ever watch it? Did you ever see an episode of it?
Not even once. But you told me you watched an episode before we played this game. Is that right?
Yeah, I saw one episode of it. I just picked one that came out around the same time as this video game in order to sort of get a bearing. I've also seen it on, like, in passing, just at the time, like around probably when this game came out. Just, it was one of the shows that was on all the time. One of the crime procedurals that was so popular in the immediately post 9/11 era of American television. I didn't really get much out of it. I did recognize some characters from the game, and then
that's good.
We played more cases after that, and I recognized some characters from the show.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess even going into this, I wasn't that looking forward to this, just because it's not really my thing. You know, like, I love the Sam & Maxes, I love the Monkey Islands, etc., etc. CSI was never... It's just not something that crossed paths with me that often. And, I've never seen the show. I can't judge the show. I feel like I wouldn't like it. Maybe I would. But, this game, I have mixed, mostly bad opinions of, but
okay.
I kind of liked it maybe a pinch more than I thought I would.
Really?
Well, it's not good, but like I didn't have that bad a time playing it with my good friends. I kind of felt like it kind of felt good knowing, like, oh, now we can do that. Now we can bring this guy in and question him. And look, we found the clue. But it's immediately soured by playing for like 2 hours and trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, I gotta say, I didn't have very high expectations either, but it was below expectations for me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's, I think it's a broken game. At least the
It's not
PlayStation 2
great.
version of it, it seems that the PC version of it has some beneficial changes that make it an easier game to play. Although the PlayStation 2 version of it does have one extra case. We're not going to be playing it because that extra case was just taken from the next game, CSI Hard Evidence. By the way, at this point in the mid 2000s, Telltale released a CSI game once every 1 year.
Wow.
I think they took
a lot.
one year break between, I think, like number 3 and number 4, or number 2 and number 3. But yeah, wow, it reminds me of like that era in the 80s when Enix would put out a Dragon Quest game every year, and then now Dragon Quest is like, how did you do that? Those games come out once every decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they were just putting out CSI games, just 5 case CSI games every year.
It's interesting since this was around when they were kind of starting to pick up with like Sam and Max and stuff. So it's hard to think like.
Well, no.
Oh,
Sam and Max was not out.
Well, no. What I'm saying is when they were doing the various.
Yeah.
I don't mean for this one. I just mean for CSI in general, because I just always CSI. Their CSI games were just never on my radar. I didn't even know they were making them. So it's interesting to think that not only were they doing games like Sam and Max, were they still doing CSI by Strong Bad?
Yeah.
Times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that they were able to do. I mean, I guess if you're only doing an episodic series and it's like 5 or 6 episodes each, you're gonna need to have another game to do the rest of the year. And I guess these CSI games help them pay the bills.
Yeah, Strong Bad came out in 2008, and the last CSI game came out in 2010.
Yeah.
It's
interesting to me that not only were they making these higher profile Telltale releases, but on the side, I mean, maybe it wasn't on the side, maybe they were really proud of these. But yeah, I just never stopped to think not only were they doing these big ones, but they were also doing these CSI games just totally off my radar.
Yes, that
it makes sense. I just never thought about it.
These games. Are you familiar with that story about Jim Carrey's dad?
I think so. What is it? What's the story you're going to tell about his dad?
Well, it just reminds me a lot of the CSI games because Jim Carrey's dad wanted to be a comedian, actor, entertainer kind of guy, just like Jim Carrey ended up being. But he banged his head against the industry for like a couple attempts and then decided, you know what, it's just not safe enough. I'll never be able to raise a family on this amount of financial insecurity. It's not going to work out. And he became an accountant. But then he failed at that too.
Oh.
And Jim Carrey always tells this story of like, you can fail at your backup plan, so just do the regular thing you want to do.
That's true.
Yeah, and like that's why Jim Carrey never had a plan B for getting into comedy. He just thought, hey, this is the thing I'm going to do, and if it's not this, I'm not going to try anything else. I'm just going to try this more.
Yeah, I guess if you're gonna fail, might as well fail doing what you want to do.
Yeah. Why would you fail doing the thing you don't want to do? I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of a privileged take from someone who has made it. But it's an interesting concept. I think comparing that to CSI and Sam & Max from Telltale, I get the people at Telltale maybe were like really, really big fans of CSI. In fact, I wouldn't doubt it at all. But the studio was founded because they couldn't make Sam & Max Freelance Police.
Mm-hmm.
They clearly wanted to do that the most. They wanted to do that really bad. And especially because this game was published by Ubisoft, it seems like they were making these CSI games as financial security. Like, oh, well, these things are based on a really popular TV show, and it's the vibe that popular things kind of are right now in 2006. And Ubisoft is going to pay us to make it, so we don't even need to worry about money while we're doing it. So this is the safe thing, because, you know, maybe Sam & Max just it's not going to be safe enough. But then Sam & Max did really well, and these didn't do well at all.
But they kept going with them, which is weird.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll get better.
Well, this was starting with the next game, CSI Hard Evidence. This was the era of the Wii, where most of the game sales on the Wii, other than like the big things like Mario and Mario, other than that, most of the sales on the Wii were like old people trying to figure out what they would like. And I'd say old people somewhat derisively, and I'm sorry about that, old people, but also like people who would never have gotten a game console before, or just wanted to play Wii Sports with their grandkids or something. And maybe they watch CSI and they're like, okay, well, that's where we're gonna buy our next video game. So I could see the next game's doing kind of well. I would not be surprised if that happened. But like, these games never had a conversation around them. I don't remember anything.
Nobody brings them up.
Yeah.
You don't say Game of the Year goes to CSI 3 Dimensions of Murder.
I mean, you could name 10, 20 Telltale games before you name a single CSI game. And there were 20 cases. They made 20 CSI cases. Yeah. So it is interesting. It does seem on paper like at the time it would have looked like, okay, this is the thing that's going to make us money, and then we're going to do Sam & Max.
Yeah, we're going to use the money from CSI to make what we actually want to make.
Yeah, and there's no way that Sam & Max didn't completely outsell this.
Yeah, Sam & Max was big at the time, at least as far as adventure games go.
Yeah. That said, I don't know about their publisher deal with Ubisoft. Maybe that was particularly lucrative. That could have made more money than Sam & Max. But yeah, just on its own, this thing is kind of lost to history. I tried looking for it on Steam. It was never uploaded to Steam. It was never uploaded to GOG. It was never uploaded anywhere.
Wow.
Ever.
So the only way to get this on PC would be like
on disc.
Did they sell it on the Telltale website? Oh, on disc.
Yeah, okay. Physical disc only.
Wow.
In fact, I was strongly considering buying a DVD ROM reader for my computer just to get this game running. And I still might get one of those because there's other things I might need it for. But
not for this.
Not for this. We figured out a way to do it on the PlayStation 2, and it only crashed.
Yeah, we should clarify. I don't think we told everyone that we were playing the PS. Maybe we did. I forgot, but we're playing. Okay, so we're playing on the PS2 version, but the way we did it was very interesting. This is our first time doing it this way. So our friend Adam set up. We streamed this through Discord. We have the PS2 version. So I did the playing while Mitch watched over streaming over Discord.
Right. For certain games on this podcast, this will have to count as us playing the game. It has to. It just has to.
It's like the only way.
Yeah.
When we get around to it, I do have Minecraft story mode for us.
Ooh. And you have all of season 1 with the extra 3 episodes?
Yeah, I don't have season 2. That's going to be a little trickier, but I was surprised. I got season 1 on disc, and I assumed it was either going to be like the season pass or where you only have the first episode and then it downloads the others, and I'd be SOL. But no, it had like the first 5 episodes on there, and then it just downloaded the next 3. They're still available. You can still get them.
That's awesome. Those 3 they were theoretically going to be like 3 of the harder Telltale episodes to get.
But we got it covered.
Yeah, not quite as hard as Minecraft Season 2 though, which seems to not exist anywhere. or Guardians of the Galaxy, which is now going for hundreds of dollars.
That might be... Boy, we might need to compromise on that one.
Well, we'll have to open a Patreon.
Yeah.
They can buy our games.
Send us... Well, you're the only one with experience in games. I guess I can put my name on there.
Experience. Well, you played this game. That's experience.
Oh, I thought you meant making games.
Oh, no, it's a Patreon for this show.
Oh, right. I got
Just for this
confused.
show.
I thought you were saying we'll make games and then make a Patreon for it and use it.
Whoa, that's a jump.
For this show.
No,
yeah,
this,
I don't
this
know
show
why.
counts
I
as
skipped
work.
a
We
few...
can do a Patreon just for this.
That's true. I skipped a few steps, but that's very true.
So today we're going to be covering case 1, 2, and 3 of the 5 included in 3 Dimensions of Murder. Case 1 is called Pictures at an Execution. Case 2 is called First Person Shooter. And case 3 is called Daddy's Girl. The remaining 2 cases, case 4 and 5, will be covered on next week's episode. We wanted to do an episode that was all of CSI 3 Dimensions of Murder at once. Turns out, can't do that because we got to case 4, and we got, I want to say 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the way through it. And then the game crashed on Adam's PlayStation 2 that Dustin was playing on.
Yeah, boy, ain't that just the way?
Ain't that just a peach? The game crashed. We had to restart. Turns out there's no autosaving whatsoever. Oops.
I guess we should have saved.
Yeah. Well, we were trying some heavy-duty stuff when you asked your character to pick up an object when the game crashed.
That's right. The game was like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah. We haven't done this 100 times, so...
I told Mitch before we started this episode, I feel like it's going to be a weird one. Partially because since I was playing the game the whole time over stream, I didn't take any notes. I didn't take a single note. So, I remember most of what happened, but I'm probably going to need you to do most of the heavy lifting on the finer details.
So, I'll say this in defense of the note-taking thing. Each one of these cases it just has a lot less going on than any of the other Telltale things. So I have 1 page of notes for cases 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically just all the same thing aside from the story. It's all the same gameplay.
Yeah, normally I would take 1 page, maybe 1.5 to 2 pages on a single episode of Sam and Max or Strong Bad. And this, it's 1/3 of a page for each case.
Wow.
I've just written down, just the stuff that I would need to remember what the case was about, and a couple extra fun things.
Right. Just a couple of extra fun things.
Yeah, so let's start at the beginning. Case 1 is called Pictures at an Execution, and it's pictures as in paintings, because it turns out that an art connoisseur, a woman named Rachel, was killed at a museum while waiting for an artist to drop off a painting that she bought.
Yeah. This game, I will say, this game doesn't hold back on the gruesome imagery.
Yeah, so I was wondering about that because this game did come out 15 years ago. I was trying hard to remember where did we land 15 years ago on bloodshed and gore and sex and gross things in video games. I guess it was fine because this game's
rated M, right?
Oh, it has to be, right?
Yeah, I never thought about it, but I guess it is.
Let me just make sure.
Okay.
Rated M. Yes, it was rated M.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the kind of stuff in here is about what you would expect.
Yeah, so by the way, just a brief diversion. This is the 3rd CSI game. It's just the first one by Telltale.
Are the first 2 exactly like this, or did Telltale kind of take their own spin on it? I have no experience, and I don't know if you've looked into it.
So the first game was called CSI Crime Scene Investigation, and the second one was called CSI Miami. And both of them had a distinct pattern of 5 cases. And that's it worked the same way with like pretty much the same mechanics. Although Telltale did throw in a little bit more like point and click adventure-y stuff because that's who they are. But the person who made the studio who made the first 2 games was called 369 Interactive. I don't really know anything about that, but they they just made the first 2. So on the box art of CSI 3 Dimensions of Murder, it says 5 all new longer cases.
Wow.
So trying to imply that the cases we're playing were specifically made to be longer than the cases in the previous 2 CSI games. Telltale, we didn't need that, but I appreciate your marketing to the people of 2006.
You know what? I do appreciate this game isn't good, but it feels like they were trying to at least improve it from the games that came before.
I'm also on the Wikipedia page. I'm picking up a couple interesting tidbits. The PlayStation 2 version was made by Ubisoft Studio in Sofia, Bulgaria, based entirely on the cases within the Telltale game. So we're kind of playing the Telltale game, but it was ported by another studio.
Yeah.
It counts. Also, the player has free movement and control of the view in the PlayStation 2 version, which does not exist in the PC version. In PC version, each room is just like a screen. And this was a decision required by Sony America.
Oh.
Why?
Yeah, I think I heard, like, were they, like... I've heard a lot of people on YouTube say Sony was really pushing to do 3D, but I would figure by this point they would kind of loosen up. They had 2D games.
Yeah, this was 2006.
I doubt they would still be trying to push that.
Maybe this is the tail end of that, because the PlayStation 3 came out this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's weird. Sony, why'd you do that? Why'd you make this game so weird?
Yeah, interesting take.
Yeah. Kind of made the game worse a little bit, Sony. So Rachel was killed while waiting for that work of art, and Patrick Milton was the artist. Also, we get to know Rachel's was it husband or fiance in this one?
Boy, you got me. I want to say fiance, but that could be wrong.
Okay, yeah, we're probably going to go back and forth because every case has something like that.
Yeah, I felt like everyone was like, "Oh, they were my fiance. We were just about to get married."
Yeah,
oh.
it felt like that every time. It was fiance. Her fiance, okay. Mark Stock, was involved, and also the curator of the museum was involved. And every episode has this format where there's a dead body and 3 people that could have done it. And the person that did it is always the one that definitely didn't do it.
Yeah, like they always make at least 2 of them feel like very obvious, like, oh, well, it had to be them, right?
Yeah.
And then the one that's not so obvious, they did it. They're the one who did it.
Yeah, so
it's like a Scooby-Doo mystery.
Rachel's fiance, Mark, kept talking all about how Rachel sucked and was the worst, and everyone hated her. And then the museum curator was like, well, I would never kill her, but yeah, it's good that she's dead because she sucked really bad.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing about this one. All 3 of them really hated her.
Yeah, and well, we'll see that again later.
Even her fiance was like, yeah, no. I believe he used the term a rabid monkey to describe her.
Yeah, it's awful. So everyone is just saying that Rachel was this class A bitch. No one liked her. And then you see you get to visit the artist that she was waiting for, and the artist was like, "Yeah, no, I straight up wasn't there." And also Rachel's fine. I don't know. And of course it was the artist, because the artist is the only one that didn't like use a sexist word at her. Like it was.
Yeah.
Of course it had to be him because it wasn't him.
Yeah, they tried to really throw you off the trail for all of these cases.
Yeah.
Like, everyone else is like, oh, yeah, I was there, I had a reason to kill her, but I didn't do it. And you're like, oh, yeah, well, it doesn't look good for you. I'm gonna trust this artist over here who has the most, who looks the most innocent. Wait, what? It was the artist?
Seriously, it's literally every case that does that. And
yeah, I think if this were like, I can let it slide for like a stupid Scooby-Doo thing because that's meant for little kids. This is an M-rated game. Your adults are playing this.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to go for realism in the writing, right? But the thing is, they also want to do their twists. They're addicted to their twists, so they don't want to do like the realistic thing, which is sometimes it's just the guy you think it is. Sometimes like, it's just the husband who says she sucked.
Yeah, I think for some of these cases, I was like, oh, yeah, well, why wouldn't it just be that person?
Yeah, come on. Like, it should be. I think
it should be.
The reason you find out, or the thing that you find out that indicates the artist as being the murderer is some squirrel hair that was found at the scene of the crime. And you find out that squirrel hair is commonly used in paintbrushes. I don't know if that's true. I did not look that up.
This sounds ridiculous saying it out loud. You find out he killed her because of the squirrel hair you pick up.
Yeah, it was either like a coarse strand of squirrel hair on the body or like near the body. I don't remember exactly. It's not important. The important bit is squirrel hair is in paintbrushes, and this guy's an artist, so he did it. And then he talks about, okay, fine, I did it. She kept asking for the painting, and I was late, but she was annoying about it. So I killed her. Yeah, so that's the first case. Something that is interesting that I actually do kind of like about the game a lot is the evidence trinity. Mm-hmm. Basically, every case you're working toward finalizing an evidence trinity, which is a collection of pieces of evidence that bring the motive, the victim, and the means of doing the crime all together for each suspect, and the suspect that can finish that triangle has to be the suspect that did the crime.
Right.
So it's not enough to just find squirrel hair, although that was the main thing. It was also, we needed testimony from other people. We needed some. We needed to find I think some sort of weapon with some blood on it at the artist's house, and then we put those all together, and then we could end the case.
Yeah, see, that's why I like this game a little more than I thought I would. It does feel a little satisfying finding everything you need to put someone in the fucking slammer.
That's an aggressive turn of phrase, Dustin. I didn't expect that.
That's okay.
And this filters into a problem that a lot of detective games have, a lot of mystery games, which is sometimes I know who did it. Like, I definitely knew who did the crime, and I can't just end it because the character in the game needs to find something that they think convinces them, even though I'm convinced already. I know who did it. This game...
Yeah, you have to find his play tickets or whatever.
Yeah, this game sort of solves that problem because they're saying, look, we all know who did it. Sometimes the other cops will, like, be onto it before the end of the case. We're like, okay, we figured out it's the artist. But
you need the evidence to really put him away.
You need the evidence to legally consider it satisfying enough for a judge. Yeah, so they've sort of rationalized this problem that plagues most detective games, which is clever, and I liked that. It's a way of getting around a problem that, at this point, I don't think they had the design chops to really get around for real.
Yeah, But I do, at the end of the day, I don't think it's like the worst absolute train wreck out there because of that. Like, a lot about it sucks, but...
Yeah, no, this is the thing.
That.
Because of the evidence trinity, I don't mind that part so much.
Yeah.
So that's the first case. Anything else in that first case you want to talk about that you remember?
No. I will say this was the one I struggled with the most, remembering like all the controls.
Yeah.
You get used to it. It's fine. It's really not that bad. But at the time I was like, okay, so pressing this and this does this and this button combo, and then I need to do this. Oh boy.
It's not bad, but if you want to play this game and are choosing between the PC and PlayStation 2 version, absolutely pick the PC version. Just click on stuff. It's so much easier to just click on things.
Can we talk about the tools? All the tools at our disposal?
Absolutely. We have to talk about the tools. It's such an important part of this game.
And it sucks.
It's terrible.
Every time it sucks.
Yeah. So let me pose a problem to you, and Dustin, you tell me which tool that you have at your disposal you want to use.
Okay.
There's a knife, and you think there might be some blood on it.
Yeah, so my first instinct would be to use the swab.
Not this time, bud. This time...
Gonna need a detection tool for that.
Yeah, this time you need to go to your detection tools folder and find the luminol, which sprayed on dried blood sort of makes it bright and seeable. Okay, Dustin, I have another one for you.
Okay.
It's a knife, and you think there might be some blood on it.
I would probably use the... Well, you know what? I was going to use the swab, but now I'll use the lithanol. Luminol, whatever.
No, Dustin, you big fat idiot. This time it was just the swab.
Oh, you got me.
Okay, third one.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like a knife, and there might be some blood on it.
There might be. So, you know what? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. I'm going to use the swab.
Sorry, bud. This time, the blood came in the form of a bloody fingerprint. So what we're going to do first is dust for prints, and then use some lifting tape to get the fingerprint off of the knife. You just summed up 90% of the gameplay. You're going to get it wrong every time. You're going to get it wrong every single time. Now, I've got a fourth one for you, Dustin. Are you ready?
Okay. Later, I feel good about this one.
Okay, it's like a knife, and there might be some blood on it.
You know what? I'm gonna use the fingerprint duster like last time.
You stupid ass. No.
What?
This time, you needed to use the residue bottle and just collect some of it as residue.
Boy, this game sucks.
This is the video game.
Yeah, this is most of the gameplay. And if it's not this, the rest is like going to the lab and analyzing stuff and getting a lot of that wrong, and then talking to people.
Okay, I've got a fifth one for you. Just one more.
Okay.
Just one more. It's like a knife, and there might be like a little bit of blood on it.
I'm going back to my trusty swab. This
time we just needed a picture so we could show someone else. So we're going to use the camera.
Yeah, you're going to stumble. It's not uncommon to pick like 5 different things before you finally find the right tool.
Okay, Dustin, I got one more I just thought of.
Okay.
Okay, it's like a knife and there's some blood on it.
I'm going to use the flashlight.
Dude, that's what I was thinking.
Holy shit, I got it right.
It's too dark to see the blood on the knife, so you need to use the flashlight
But only
first.
in this one spot.
But also, it's only dark according to the characters. We can see it.
Yeah, we can see it just fine, but nope, you gotta use the flashlight before you can reach in and grab it.
Oh, man.
You gotta make sure.
This is so dumb. Yeah, but...
It's real not good.
You have a bunch of tools. You have 8 collection tools and 8 detection tools. And all of them are used for the same stuff most of the time. But only one thing works. So you gotta cycle between all of them.
And boy, you got a lot. How many are on each radial? Is it like 8?
It's 8
items each?
Yeah. So there's 16 tools that you just have.
Yeah, 8 for collection, 8 for the other one.
Notably, the PC version, I believe, has fewer tools.
Boy, wouldn't it be nice?
Could
you
I think
imagine
that's correct.
a world?
Sorry, I'll double check that before next episode. I'm glad that we're covering this for 2 episodes because there are a lot of unknowns between the PC and PlayStation 2 version that we're gonna have trouble figuring out. But
could you imagine a world where you have less tools to fumble around with and you can just get to the point?
Yeah. So hang on, Dustin. So there's a knife and there's some blood on it. What do you want to do?
I don't care about this knife ananymore. Can I leave? Can I go
Absolutely
somewhere else?
not. You cannot progress without doing everything in every case.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna grab it. I'm gonna grab the knife.
How so? How are you doing that?
With my glove.
Okay,
with my
so the
hand
answer
glove.
was that the blood was dried enough that you could pick it up with tweezers.
Pick the blood up with tweezers.
Yeah,
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, no, this game has got 16 tools in it. They all sort of do the same, just like get the stuff. Just get it.
And there's also because this is a PS2 game released in 2006, the resolution ain't too hot. So there's lots of things in the world, some things you'll have to click on, clues to find, that you can barely see. Sometimes there'll be like a tiny thing and you got to use the tweezers to grab it.
Yeah, that admittedly is not a problem in the PC version. That's just a PlayStation 2 version. The idea that you need to look around a scene using an actual first-person view in this game is dreadful. It's simply not right. It shouldn't work like that. Because you need to have all the stuff that's clickable presented to you on the same one screen at once in order for it to be fair. And that is what the PC version of the game did. The PC version of the game might be fine. Who knows? It's impossible to tell.
Yeah. It sounds a lot nicer.
We are going to move on to case 2, though.
Okay, that sounds
Unless
good.
you've got anything else about case 1.
I would never have anything more to say about case
All right.
1.
Yeah.
But this one's going to be a little interesting to our show and listeners.
This is not a big bar to cross, as I'm sure I've indicated, I think sort of lowly of this game, but this case is my favorite one that we've done so far.
Yeah, mainly because I can relate to it,
Yeah.
and it wasn't that frustrating except for the one time.
Yeah, so this is called first-person shooter. It's named after a video game genre for a reason. The crime takes place at a video game convention of sorts, some sort of exposition, where a new game, Gut Wrench 3, has been announced, and they're doing all the marketing for it, for Gut Wrench 3. And the lead designer and head of the studio of the studio that's making Gut Wrench 3 has been shot dead and is just lying on the floor of the convention hall. He's just there.
That is a pretty striking visual, though, posing him in like the same pose as the guy on the cover. If that happened in real life, I'd be like, ooh, interesting.
Yeah, he's lying on the ground in the camo and holding the same kind of gun as the guy on the cover of Gut Wrench 3. That was cool. That was like a cool little narrative moment.
Yeah.
And my first thought with that was like, oh, this is some fan that like doesn't like the direction of the series and dressed him up that way after he killed them. Turns out not the case.
It goes in a very different direction.
Yeah, the reason this guy was killed, or sorry, not the reason this guy's dressed like the main character of Gut Wrench 3 is because he was cosplaying the main character of Gut Wrench 3 because everyone at the studio was dressed like the characters in the game. It was just like a weird marketing thing they were doing. So
yeah, that's weird. I don't think any studios have really done that in real life, have they?
Not to my memory. I know Charles Martinet has gone to a lot of stuff dressed as Mario.
Yeah, Miyamoto came out dressed as a bunch of Pikmin.
I thought you were gonna say dressed as Link, which he actually did once, but no, just dressed as Pikmin. A mass of Pikmin.
A bunch of them.
No, I can't think of one. and especially because, as we'll find out through the remainder of this case, this studio, which I didn't get the name of the studio in my notes, but the Gut-Wrench 3 studio is an allegory for LucasArts.
Yeah.
Yeah. We find out that they were going to make this other game called Fuzzy and Bill, which is totally Sam & Max. It's absolutely Sam & Max. They were going to make this other game called Fuzzy and Bill, but the marketing people, or the marketing woman at the studio, basically said, "Hey, you know, this is kid stuff, and what people want to see now is like the gross shooter stuff. So we got to make Gut-Wrench 3."
Yeah, they had made a Fuzzy and Bill already, but it didn't sell too hot, so they canceled the sequel to focus on this.
Yeah, and the guy in charge, like the guy whose baby it was, his name is Craig, the lead designer on that. He was ousted from the company. He was fired. This is absolutely Sam & Max Freelance Police.
Yeah. So we do have a little bit of a connection to this story.
Yeah, and I think it definitely comes off like, oh, these people know how a video game studio works, because like there's one person working on marketing who's not working on the rest of the game. There's a difference between programmers and designers and artists. So I bet when they pitched this to the CSI team, the CSI team was like, "Oh, cool, you've used your knowledge of like how a video game studio works to work on the particulars of this case. That's really clever." But actually, it's way more than that, because the story of being kicked off Sam & Max Freelance Police is shown in this case in, I would say, embarrassing detail.
Wow, embarrassing.
It comes off a little embarrassing, I gotta say. Especially
embarrassing
because...
for who?
Telltale.
Okay.
Especially because at the time of the release of this game, in March 14th, 2006... Sam & Max Season 1 wasn't out yet, but like they were working on it already. So they had already figured out how to make the Sam & Max game they want to make. And now they're like demonizing the marketing teams who don't know the good thing from the bad thing, and they're just chasing trends, man, and we're the ones that are doing the real games. Even though they, working on CSI, are the ones working on CSI and not Sam & Max.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I can't tell if Gut-Wrench 3 is supposed to be CSI 3 Dimensions of Murder, or if Gut-Wrench 3 is supposed to be like just whatever else Star Wars LucasArts wanted to work on at the time.
I think that's the impression I got, the LucasArts one.
I mean, Gut-Wrench 3 is the third of something. 3 Dimensions of Murder?
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe.
It's at this point in my notes that I've written down the question: what is splatter versus spatter?
Yeah, they use the word spatter a lot, not just in this case, in like every single case.
Yeah, with no L.
It's you know what? I think I know what the difference is.
Tell me about it.
This could be totally wrong, but I wonder if splatter is the verb and spatter is the noun.
Okay, I buy that. I don't know it. That's a look it up. That's a look it up question. We're gonna look it up right
now. I've heard splatter used as the noun too, but maybe it's just, you know, maybe spatter is the way it's supposed to be done, but no one says it because it sounds weird because splatter is the thing.
Okay, so I'm looking up on Grammarly.com. It says they're both verbs and both nouns.
Okay, so you can just do either one.
No.
They just chose.
No, there's a size difference here. To spatter means to scatter small particles of a substance. A spatter is the pattern of drops that results from spattering. To splatter with an L means to scatter larger particles of a substance. A splatter is the pattern of drops that results from splattering.
So it's like Pokemon. The first form is spatter. The evolved form is splatter.
Sure, yeah. I guess it's like who says when the particles are big enough. I bet maybe there's a medical definition or something. But yeah, that threw me for a loop because I hadn't heard spatter used that much before this game, and now I've heard it a lot.
Yeah, I've heard it like once or twice in the past, but like when you hear it this much all at like the same time.
Yeah. So the person you totally think killed this guy, the guy that said, we're not going to do Fuzzy and Bill, we're going to do Gut Wrench 3 and focus entirely on that, and also you're fired, is the guy that was fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy that totally should have done this murder and didn't.
Yeah, you find a gun in the back of his car. It just feels like they're trying to make you think he did it a little too much.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would be fine if, like, everyone was, like, had equal motives.
Yeah, let's talk about other things Craig did, because Craig also put a scorpion in the guy's bed. And
who hasn't?
Craig, when they went to the gun range the day before the guy was killed, Craig pinned up a picture of the guy who was killed's face and used it as target practice.
Yeah, as soon as you see that he did these, you know it wasn't him.
Yeah. Another person it definitely was instead of the person it wasn't was Maya, who was the marketing person, who was told that if news of the game reached national news, like they reported it on TV or something, she would be given a huge bonus. And a murder connected to the thing with the body posed as the guy in the game would totally do that. And she, and also she hates the guy, and also she said that she hates the guy a lot, and she hates her job, and marketing this game sucks.
She's really pleasant.
Yeah. And also she and Craig had, like, crazy, weird, gross sex in the back of his car. And that was just something that I guess they wanted to add for some reason.
That doesn't really tie into any of this.
Yeah.
But there's lots of sex in this game.
Yeah, and also, Maya, you're, like, way too good for Craig. Craig's gross and weird.
Yeah, he makes video games.
Yeah, well... Also, just the way he talks, you pointed this out to me, but the way he talks is like if you were genetically built to be the worst person to talk to. It's just terrible. Every sentence is like a half brag somehow.
That's true. But not a lot of pleasant people in this whole game.
Yeah, so of course it was neither of those people. It was Andy, the programmer, who really didn't have much of a motive.
Yeah, I don't even remember what his motive was.
His motive was if the main guy was taken out, Andy...
Oh, he would get, like, shares of the company or something?
Yeah, he was supposed to get shares, but then I guess the main guy sort of reneged that and said, actually, you know what, we're not going to give you shares. So it was like, okay, well, if I kill you, I get the whole company. So I'll just do that. He didn't seem to dislike the guy at all. He was spending a night in the hotel with him, and he didn't...
He got him the Cobb salad?
Yeah, he got him the Cobb salad.
He was like, I couldn't have done it. I got him the Cobb salad.
He did have this Cobb salad that he was eating for the entire duration of the episode, which I think lasted at least a full day, because, like, the time of day outside changed. And he was just with that salad the whole time. And he mentioned it multiple times. Like, I could not have done it. I was here ordering the salad while it was happening. And then,
that's his alibi. I was getting the salad.
I was getting the salad. I couldn't do
it. You can't kill someone and get a salad at the same time.
But yeah, then they did this case, and then they made 16 episodes of Sam and Max. So pretty good, I think.
Yeah,
I'm glad that happened.
Yeah, It probably was just them getting it out of their system. I'm sure going into this, even if they were working on Sam and Max again, I'm sure they were still frustrated about the last one getting the axe and other things. One thing that I like that they brought up is if you go on his laptop, you can look at the forums and you see people... You can see the fans complaining about the cancellation. One of them is like, I will literally come and murder you and your family.
Yeah. We never investigated that fan even. And he seems to have some
we
motive.
should have.
He's the right kind of person to do it. He did say he would do it. So,
well, there you go. Take them away.
yeah.
But that really did take me back to when Sam and Max Freelance Police did get canceled. I was there the day it was announced it was canceled, and I was like, "What? No!" And then I would go on and see all these other people commenting about it. I don't remember if they were that bad. I'm sure they were, but yeah, it just took me back to that moment in time.
Is Freelance Police the kind of game that you think about and you're still like, oh man, I wish that game came out? Or do the existence of the Telltale games like completely erase any desire for that game?
I was thinking about this a while back. I don't remember if we discussed it or not. I feel like it's for the better that they went to Telltale, because Freelance Police was planned to be a 5 or 6 episode series like this. It was going to be episodic too. But given where LucasArts was and where they were going, I don't think there's any guarantee we would have gotten more Sam and Max after that. With Telltale, we got 2 more seasons after their initial one, and it did kind of help revitalize Sam and Max. I don't feel like Sam and Max would be as remembered if it just got like the one sequel.
Yeah, I was even thinking about it. If it was more of a sequel to Hit the Road, and it actually shared canon with Hit the Road, I think it probably wouldn't have been as good as all, because I don't like the canon of Hit the Road as much as I like the canon of the Telltale games.
Yeah, I agree. I like it. I like it fine. I like the characters in it. I think the humor's great, but I think the Telltale ones just give you so much to chew on. I mean, go back to our season 3 episodes. We talked about those so much. I don't feel like we would have had as much to say about Freelance Police.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of the stuff that they were thinking about, but like didn't quite plan out on paper yet for Freelance Police, did secretly make it into the Telltale games, even though they legally can't say that any of it did. Yeah, I bet it still did.
I'm sure Freelance Police still would have been good, but I think it's for the best things happen the way they did.
So the main guy at the studio is dead. The main programmer was arrested. So the studio just defaults to Maya, who is the marketing person. And she probably hires back Craig because they did the nasty. And also because it's the only other... seems like the only other game designer that she knows of, and she needs employees. So
we gotta get somebody.
With just Craig and Maya, I bet they did make Fuzzy and Bill after this.
I think so too. I think she would have acknowledged his vision, and you know what? I'm glad. I think the world needs Fuzzy and Bills to complement the Gut Wrencher 3s.
I totally agree. Well, case 3, Dustin, is the final case we'll talk about today. It's Daddy's Girl.
Okay.
Yeah. Carrie Kennelly has gone missing, and there's a bunch of blood at her apartment all over the floor and the walls. And we find out it's hers.
But there's no body.
There's no body.
At the scene. There's nobody. I don't see nobody.
I wrote here the line, "They forgot they had a paper one." What does that mean?
They forgot they had a paper one. The tool?
Yeah,
the tool
for fingerprints because there was fingerprints on a piece of paper, and they were like, no, just use the brush for smooth fingerprints. I'm like, this isn't a smooth brush, one. Dummy. This is a porous surface like paper. God damn it.
Don't give me these tools if you're not going to use them and make them work.
Yeah. So they forgot they had a paper one. I also wrote down only 3 cases in, and we totally got the formula already. So I was able to pinpoint exactly who did this.
Yeah.
Carrie Kennelly.
There were no surprise. Well, I will say there's a surprise in this episode. I was pleasantly surprised.
There's a little bit of a surprise. Carrie Kennelly is the heiress to I think like a hotel magnate, and or a casino. It's a casino because they're in Las Vegas, and she's like on track to completely inherit all of the business and everything. And her dad's dying, so it might happen soon. And then she goes missing. Well, she's got this husband who we find out through the course of the episode is abusive and hates her and it sucks. And we've got her sister who also hates her a lot and has been like, hey, I'm the only one actually taking care of Dad. Carrie hasn't been taking care of Dad at all and is still like thought of as being the person who's definitely going to inherit it just because she's the oldest. I'm the one that actually runs the casino. It's like, okay, well, it's one of you fuckers. And of course it's not. It's the nurse that was taking care of her dad, because what actually happened was that the nurse and Carrie staged what looked like a murder, but they're both alive. And Carrie, she was going to do some plastic surgery, and she was going to dye her hair and look different. But she's just at a hotel down the street.
They just took some blood from her a little bit at a time for like months.
Yeah.
To get all this blood.
They stored it in tomato juice jars in order to make it look like blood or tomato juice. And they froze it. And the only hint we get a little bit of that was the morgue guy, Doc Robbins, said that the blood seemed like it had been frozen a little bit. But then we don't hear about that for the rest of the episode. And it's like, well, didn't you guess that it was in the freezer? And that this is how they got that much blood? Because they say anyone who lost this much blood, because it was all over, is for sure dead.
Yeah.
But no, that's not
they
how they
really
did it.
Pulled the wool over our eyes.
Yeah, they did. My eyes are fully wool pulling.
I didn't mind this episode that much.
Do you want to know why you didn't mind it?
Please tell me.
Because this is the first episode that we decided, hey, we get it. I think it is legitimate if we emulate what someone playing it at the time would have done and used a walkthrough.
Yeah, sorry everyone if that makes it feel a little less for real, but we did not want to do this for hours.
After playing the first two episodes and being stuck at some point in the second episode where like we just couldn't figure out what to do, and the answer was to use an item with a machine that just doesn't make sense for us to do that for.
We were stuck for 2 hours trying to figure it out, and it was just like one thing we missed. I think we asked this guy for hints. So every episode you get your partner, and you can ask them for hints about what to do, clues to get. I think we took like all of those hints. By the end of the game, he could not give us any more hints. He was like, I'm all out. Yeah,
by the way, if you've seen the show, all the partners are characters from the show. The first case's partner was Warwick, the second was Catherine, and the third that we're talking about now was Sarah Seidel. So, I don't know. That's cool, I guess.
Sarah Seidel.
I think we liked none of them.
I thought the second one was okay. I thought, or at least he was a step up. Warwick was the first one, and I feel like he was mean to us.
Yeah, so these are the people that tell you, like, oh, that didn't match when you tried to compare these two fingerprints. It was actually really dumb that you tried that even. And
you absolute sack.
And I just couldn't.
You can't bring yourself to like them because all they do is. Yeah, they're not likable because all they do is shit on you for trying your best with this game that doesn't work the way you want it to. And it's your fault, apparently.
And also, sometimes when things don't match, that's also information. Haven't you considered that was a good thing to do, you dummies?
Yeah, that's good. That's good to know. Knowing, like, this blood is not a match with this.
You artificially unintelligent assistant. Like, dude.
Wow. Harsh.
It's just annoying.
Mitch, that's all they had. And you took it away.
Well, yeah, so it turns out that the nurse who actually loves Carrie and Carrie who wanted to stage her death, the two of them sort of tried to frame the husband for murder.
Mm-hmm. The husband's abusive and not cool.
Yeah, he's abusive and not cool. So, like, as me, the player, I was thinking, like, okay, yeah, do that. Frame the husband. That sounds good. But then the police were like, well, you're the ones that really committed the crime here because we can't prove that the husband is abusive, but we can prove that you framed him for murder, so you're arrested. And
did the lady get arrested or just the guy?
Both of them.
Okay.
And like we felt like such narcs in this episode. I hated it.
Yeah, I I mean, I get it. You probably shouldn't frame someone for murder, but he was an asshole. No, things would be better off if things just played out.
Yeah, and people didn't. We didn't arrest him for doing the abuse, so he got away with it. And the woman just trying to get away from her abusive life is now under arrest and like might go to jail for this. This sucks.
Yeah.
And she was trying to like defer all of her rights to her inheritance to her sister as well. She was trying to say like, no, Lucy can just have it. I just want out. And we're like, that is a crime, actually.
You have to go to prison.
You have to go to jail now.
Goodbye.
So yeah, we were real and for true narcs in this episode, and I hated that.
I liked that they had the twist that no one died. She just faked her death.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it's immediately followed up by that, and it doesn't make you feel good about it.
Yeah.
What else was there in this episode? For some reason I remember this episode the least.
I definitely remember the first episode the least, but yeah.
I remembered the painter. I remembered like the eagle and hawk statues.
Oh, I didn't until you said that just now. Yeah, this one mostly was just like, hey, talk to this person, then talk to this person, make sure you get the right stuff.
Swab all that blood.
Yeah, go to the hospital, talk to the nurse, and then go to the condo and talk to the guy, and then go to the hospital and talk to the nurse, and then go to the condo and talk to the guy.
That's right. I remember we were going back and forth a lot.
Yeah, because at one point the game wants you to do this thing where the nurse says the husband is actually abusive, and that's like the reveal of that. You don't get that information before the nurse says it, and then you go to the husband and you're like, hey, the nurse said that you did bad, and then the husband's like, well, tell him
like,
I didn't. And then you're like,
all right.
The husband said he didn't hit her. And then
well, you tell him
that we've seen bruises. And then the husband says,
all right.
Well, she just gets bruises sometimes. I didn't hit her. And like,
you can just tell them that she just gets bruises. I'm not talking to them.
Yeah, I was wondering at this point, like, is my in-game character just trusting each person every time they say anything?
Can we get like a phone or something?
These people should just talk. Well, actually, I do remember something that happened. Because at one point, the husband finds out that the nurse has been saying this stuff. So the husband goes and he beats up the nurse. But we go from the husband to the nurse to like warn him that this husband guy might be coming for him. And then by the time we get there, he's got like a whole bloody face. And the nurse goes like, thanks a lot, guys. We were too late.
Yeah, you go in, you ask him like, what happened? And he's like, what do you think happened? You stupid assholes. Oh, yeah, you just go in and you see them all beat up. It's like, ooh, whoops. Oh boy, you know what? We got some laughs.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. Yeah, so that's cases 1 through 3. So we're gonna head into our segments now and hold on to our basically everything until next time, where we talk about cases 4 and 5 and give a final verdict on the game.
I wonder what it's gonna be.
What was your potent pickup this time, Dustin?
Semen?
Yeah, mine was semen.
You get semen a couple times.
Yeah, I was thinking of, should I use one of the tools or should we use the stuff we picked up? And then I remember how much semen we picked up, and I was like, yeah, semen.
It's gotta be semen.
All the tools are infuriating.
Yeah, I hate them. They're all the worst. And I will say you get more blood in your pockets than semen, but semen definitely makes a stronger impression.
It does. It absolutely does. Even though it's harder to test for DNA,
if I had a nickel,
it's only got half.
Yeah, if I had a nickel for every time I said that.
Yeah. So that's our potent pickup, semen. The weekly guy.
I'm glad we were on the same page.
I think we might have the same weekly guy as well.
I think we have to have the same weekly
Is it
guy.
Brass?
It's Brass.
Absolutely.
It's our friend.
This guy was good in the show too. So Brass is the captain of the CSI team. And you go to Captain Brass whenever you want a warrant or you want to bring someone in for questioning or you want like someone to officially trace a call or something like that. You go to your Captain Brass. And Brass is always in such a like smarmy but jovial mood about it. And he's like, I guess
And
we can go and bring those guys in. I guess you've gotten enough evidence for that.
he has such a dry wit that like this game has like quote unquote jokes.
Yeah, they're not
that are
jokes.
not funny. I specifically like the helper on the third case. I think was really trying to be a jokester, and he really just fell on his face every time.
Mm-hmm.
But oh no, it wasn't that. I'm getting ahead of things. I think that was episode 4 that we started. But yeah, this game. Some people try to be funny, and none of it lands except for Brass. I feel like he has just the right level of dryness, of dry wit. That it's like him saying these things, you can tell he kind of knows they're like not that funny, but
yeah,
boy, he's saying
yeah, totally.
them. He sells them.
So who's our unweekly guy?
Unweekly guy. There's a lot. I guess everyone else.
Mine is Warwick,
No.
For sure.
He was very mean.
Yeah,
to us.
our assistant from the first episode. He just like the way he's talking about, like, dude, that's not a match. Like, hey, Warwick, shut up.
Think things through. Yeah, try to think things through, and it's like this is my first day. Give me a break.
Yeah, in canon, it is your character's first day on the team.
Yeah, it would be one thing if they like saved him for like the last episode when you have all that experience. It's like, come on, you've done 5 cases already. Just stop jerking off and solve this crime. But no, they start you out with them on the first day, and it's like, I'm really trying. I don't know these tools. I don't know these buttons. Just give me a chance. Everyone else was pretty understanding. Like, they were a little snarky, but not as bad.
Oh, something I wanted to bring up for the weekly guy that I didn't was that it's almost Grissom. Grissom is barely there. He just introduces you to each case and then, like, fucks off.
Yeah, he doesn't have the time to make a bad impression.
But he made a really great impression in the first time, where he said the first words in the game to you are, "Welcome to Vegas, the city without clocks." What a guy. What a line to introduce yourself by.
And yeah, thanks. That will in no way play into any of this game.
Yeah, the city without clocks is... Okay, I don't know if maybe in Vegas they just say that about themselves. Maybe that's like a well-known saying. But there's no way, right?
Because I'm guessing it's because they have a nightlife. Like City Without Clocks, it's because people are always like doing stuff and up and at 'em.
It's like they heard the New York motto, "The city that never sleeps," which means the same thing.
Something like that.
And they ran it back and forth through Chinese on Google Translate 50 times, and then they ended up with the city without clocks.
The city without clocks. Put it on our coin.
What a dumb thing to say. I loved Grissom for that. That was fun.
Yeah. It is a very dumb thing to say, but I think it's a very good first thing to say.
Yeah, so if you're skipping these CSI episodes, I get it, but also I think there's some fun in the talking about CSI. Next episode is, as we said, cases 4 and 5 of the same game, and then after that, we are going to be playing Back to the Future.
Wow, we're gonna go Back to the Future.
We're gonna go Back to the Future. We're gonna play. I started episode 1, just go all the way through it.
Yeah, this worked out for us a little bit. Well, I don't know if it worked out for you. You have it, right? It was in your Telltale library, I think you said.
Yeah.
So for me, it turned out I got it on Games with Gold like years ago before it was taken down. So I just happened to still have it in my game library on Xbox. So that worked out.
Yeah, Back to the Future is one of the ones that have been delisted, but it also seems to have been the most easily accessible, at least for us, just to have.
Yeah, even now, I think you can go to eBay and they're not like that expensive to get physical copies.
Yeah, this one was it was a really big deal at the time because Back to the Future is, well, we'll talk about it, but the Telltale game Back to the Future is Back to the Future 4.
Yeah, it kind of felt like the transitional period between old Telltale and new Telltale a little bit.
Yeah. Totally.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We still have a whole other episode of CSI to do first.
CSI 3 Dimensions of Murder returns next week, and until then, we'll see you later.
Goodbye.